My girlfriend demanded, "If you can't afford my lifestyle, step aside for someone who can." I said, "You're absolutely right." I stopped paying her credit card bills instantly. She called me screaming when her card declined at a Michelin star restaurant with her new date. All right, Reddit. This happened 6 months ago, and I'm still getting texts about it. So here's the full story. I, 31 male, work as an industrial engineer for a manufacturing company in Michigan. Started there right out of college, worked my way up from the floor to management level. Good salary, decent benefits, own my condo outright because I bought it during the 2019 dip and paid it off early. Drive a 2018 Ford F-150 that's completely paid off. Got a solid 401k going. Emergency fund that could cover me for a year. Investment portfolio that's doing pretty well. Not rich by any means, but comfortable and smart with money. My place is nothing fancy, but it's mine. 2 bedroom, 2 bath, updated kitchen that I renovated myself last year. Installed new cabinets, granite countertops, stainless appliances. Learned how to tile the backsplash from YouTube videos. And it actually came out decent. Got my workshop set up in the garage with all my tools organized on pegboards. Weekends I'm either working on the truck, hitting the gym, or meal prepping for the week because eating out every day is how you stay broke. The truck was a calculated purchase. Found it at a dealership 3 states over with only 35,000 miles. Previous owner was some retiree who barely drove it. Drove out there on a Saturday, inspected every inch, checked the Carfax 3 times. Got them down $4,000 from asking price because I showed up with cash and wasn't afraid to walk away. Thing runs like new and I do all the maintenance myself. Oil changes, brake pads, fluid checks. Saves me hundreds every year and I know the work's done right. I'm the guy who tracks every expense in a spreadsheet, has separate savings accounts for different goals, and reads financial blogs for fun. My friends think I'm boring, but they're also the ones calling me when they need to borrow money or don't understand their 401k options. After a couple relationships that ended because I was too focused on saving or not spontaneous enough, I'd pretty much accepted that financial responsibility wasn't exactly a turn-on for most people. Then I met Olivia at a company networking event in March 2023. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, always dressed sharp, had this confidence that made her stand out in a room. We started talking about travel, and she mentioned wanting to visit Japan someday. I'd actually been there on a work trip, and we ended up chatting for like 2 hours about Tokyo and Kyoto. She gave me her number, we grabbed coffee that weekend, and things took off from there. The coffee date was at this local place she suggested, one of those trendy spots with exposed brick and overpriced lattes. She ordered some complicated thing with oat milk and lavender syrup that cost like $8. I got a regular coffee for 3. We sat there for 3 hours just talking, and she seemed genuinely impressed when I mentioned owning my place and having my finances sorted out at 31. Dating Olivia was different from anyone I'd been with before. She appreciated nice things, good restaurants, weekend getaways, designer handbags. But early on, she always offered to split bills, or would treat me sometimes. She had her own money from sales commissions, drove a newer BMW that she leased, lived in a nice apartment downtown. Seemed like we were on the same page financially. The BMW was a 3 Series, white with black leather interior. She talked about it like it was a personality trait. BMW girls are just different, she'd say, while posting Instagram stories of the steering wheel logo. I later found out she was paying $650 a month for it, with nothing to show at the end of the lease, but hey, not my money. Her apartment was one of those luxury buildings with a doorman and a gym nobody uses. Rent was probably $2,200 for a 1 bedroom, but it had floor-to-ceiling windows and looked impressive on social media. She decorated it entirely from HomeGoods and West Elm, everything matching and carefully curated for the aesthetic. I remember thinking it looked more like a showroom than a place someone actually lived. Our first real trip together was a weekend in Chicago in May. We split the hotel, split meals, split the Uber rides. She posted a million photos but never made me feel like I had to bankroll her Instagram content. It felt balanced. She even insisted on buying my ticket to this architecture boat tour I wanted to do. Things were good. The hotel was this boutique place in River North that she found on some travel blog. Nice enough but not crazy expensive, like $220 a night split between us. We walked everywhere to save on transportation, grabbed deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, visited the Art Institute. It was actually fun. She took photos constantly but nothing over the top. Just seemed like a normal person who liked documenting her life. By July, things were getting serious. She'd started leaving clothes at my place. We were doing dinner with each other's families. talking about future plans in that vague, someday kind of way. Her parents seemed to like me. Her dad owned a small construction company and appreciated that I had a trade background before going into engineering. Her mom kept making comments about me being stable and reliable. Her dad, Robert, was the kind of guy who respected hard work. Self-made, built his company from nothing, drove a beat-up Chevy even though he could afford better. We'd talk about business and construction projects when I'd visit for family dinners. He'd always pull me aside to show me whatever renovation project he was working on in their house. Guy was genuinely solid. Her mom, Patricia, was different. Super focused on appearances and what the neighbors thought. Always dressed up even for casual family dinners, house looked like it should be in a magazine. She'd make these subtle comments about Olivia doing so well for herself and how important it was to maintain a certain lifestyle. Should have been my first warning sign. Around August, I noticed the split the bill thing started disappearing. She'd suggest expensive restaurants, and when the check came, she'd just sit there expectantly. Or she'd plan weekend trips without mentioning costs until after booking everything. I started covering more and more expenses without really thinking about it. Figured this was just what relationships do. You get more comfortable, you treat your partner, whatever. The restaurant thing started subtle. She'd say, "Let's try that new Italian place," and I'd agree, thinking it'd be like $30 per person. Then we'd get there, and entrees were $45 each, glasses of wine were $18, and suddenly we're walking out $150 lighter. And she'd just assume I'm paying. No thanks. No offer to split. Just, "Thanks, babe," and a kiss on the cheek. Then came the Nordstrom incident in September. We're at the mall just browsing, and she finds this Kate Spade purse she absolutely loves. Thing is like $380. She's going on about how it's perfect for her new work outfits, how it'll last forever, how it's actually an investment piece. Then she looks at me with these puppy eyes and goes, "Babe, early birthday present?" Her birthday wasn't until January. I bought it because saying no felt weird, and I didn't want to seem cheap. She posted 17 Instagram stories about it, tagged me in half of them, calling me the best boyfriend ever. Her friends were commenting heart emojis, and he's a keeper, and relationship goals. Looking back, that purse was the beginning of the end. That's when she learned I'd say yes. After the purse, it started ramping up. Needed new shoes for work, $200 heels from some designer I'd never heard of. Wanted to try that new sushi place everyone was posting about. $160 dinner for two, where we each got like 6 pieces of fish and left hungry. Her car needed new tires. Somehow that became my problem too. Another $600. Every time I'd hesitate, she'd hit me with, "I thought you cared about me," or "I just want us to enjoy life together," or my personal favorite, "You're so focused on money, you're missing out on making memories." Yeah, memories. Like the memory of watching her spend $140 at Sephora on makeup she already owned in different shades. Or the memory of her buying 3 nearly identical black dresses because she needed options. Real priceless stuff. The tire thing still drives me crazy thinking about it. She came over one Saturday morning nearly in tears about how the BMW dealership said she needed new tires, and it was going to be $800. I'm thinking, okay, that's her car, her lease, her responsibility, but she's going on about how she's tight on money this month, and what if she gets a flat and it's not safe, and what if something happens and I'd never forgive myself. Classic guilt trip. The safety angle, the what ifs, the tears. I fell for it completely. I ended up calling around to local shops, found a place that could do it for $650 with a better tire brand than what the dealership quoted. Took her car and myself on a Saturday. I'd planned to work on my truck's brake pads. Waited 3 hours in their uncomfortable waiting room, reading outdated magazines while they did the work, paid for it on my credit card. She picked up the car that evening, said thanks, gave me a kiss, and then posted on Instagram about having car trouble, but my amazing boyfriend handled it like a champ. 17 comments about how lucky she was. 8 heart emojis. 3 people asking where she found me. 0 mention of the $650 I just spent. 0 offer to pay me back. 0 acknowledgement that this was her responsibility that somehow became mine. I justified it at the time. That's what good boyfriends do, right? Take care of their partner's problems, make sure they're safe, be the reliable guy who solves issues. Didn't matter that she'd probably spent $650 on clothes and makeup in the past 2 weeks alone. Didn't matter that she had a job and income. I was the man, so I was supposed to handle it. Looking back, that's the exact toxic mindset she was exploiting. The whole, "a real man takes care of his woman" thing that sounds traditional and romantic, but is actually just code for fund my lifestyle and don't ask questions. October is when things started getting weird. She began making comments about my condo being cute in that tone that meant the opposite. Asked why I didn't lease a newer truck like successful guys do. Started comparing me to her coworkers' boyfriends who apparently took them to expensive resorts and bought them designer everything. The condo comments hurt, not gonna lie. I'd put months of work into that place. Renovated the kitchen myself, watching YouTube tutorials on how to properly install cabinets and make sure the tile was level. Refinished the hardwood floors over a 3-day weekend, spending hours on my hands and knees with a drum sander and about 15 coats of polyurethane. Updated all the fixtures, replaced the old brass hardware with modern brushed nickel, installed dimmer switches in every room. It was clean, well-maintained, paid off at 31 years old when most people my age were drowning in debt. But according to Olivia, it didn't have the wow factor she expected. She'd make these casual remarks while we watched TV on my couch that I'd bought with cash 3 years ago. Jordan's boyfriend just bought them a house in that new development across town. 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage, granite island in the kitchen. She was showing me photos and it's gorgeous. Good for Jordan. How much did her boyfriend go into debt for that mortgage? It's not about debt. It's about providing a nice life for your partner. Or she'd scroll through Instagram and go, oh wow, Amanda's dating this guy who drives a Range Rover. Says it's so much nicer than her old car. He just got the new model. Range Rovers are money pits. Depreciate like crazy. Parts are expensive. Always in the shop. You're so negative about everything. Why can't you just appreciate nice things? I'd try to explain financial responsibility, how paying off my mortgage early meant I had way more money to save and invest, how leasing a fancy car meant you were just renting and had nothing to show for it at the end except years of $700 monthly payments, how those successful guys with the big houses and luxury cars were probably leveraged up to their eyeballs in debt and one job loss away from losing everything. She'd nod along, but I could tell she wasn't hearing me. To her, looking successful was more important than actually being financially stable. The appearance of wealth mattered more than the reality of it. She wanted the Instagram aesthetic, the luxury car in the driveway, the modern house with the open floor plan, the designer clothes, the expensive dinners at trendy restaurants. What she didn't want was the boring work of actually building wealth, the budgeting, the saving, the delayed gratification, the smart financial decisions that don't photograph well for social media. She never once asked about my investment portfolio that was approaching 6 figures. Never cared that my 401k was maxed out every year. Never showed interest in the fact that I had 0 debt and could weather pretty much any financial storm. Those things didn't matter because you can't post them on Instagram. Around mid-October, she started dropping hints about how we should take a trip somewhere exotic for our 1-year anniversary coming up in March. Maldives, Bora Bora, Santorini, places where the flights alone would cost $2,000 plus per person before you even factored in hotels and food. I suggested a long weekend road trip instead. Maybe Nashville or Charleston, somewhere we could drive to and explore. Keep costs reasonable, still have a great time. She looked at me like I'd suggested we camp in my backyard. Everyone takes tropical vacations for anniversaries. That's what couples do. Couples also go into debt for Instagram photos and then fight about money for the next 3 years. I'd rather not do that. You're always so worried about money? When are you going to just live a little? This became her favorite line. Anytime I'd hesitate on spending, anytime I'd suggest a cheaper alternative, anytime I'd question whether we really needed something, when are you going to just live a little? As if financial responsibility and enjoying life were mutually exclusive. As if the only way to live was to spend money you don't have on things you don't need to impress people you don't like. Then came the credit card conversation in early November. We're having dinner at my place, pasta I made from scratch because I'm not paying $80 for carbs in a restaurant, and she brings up that she's having trouble keeping up with her credit card payments. Says her commissions have been slower this quarter, but she's got a few big sales about to close. How much are we talking? I asked. Just like $3,000 across 2 cards. But it's fine. I'll figure it out. Red flag city, but she's my girlfriend and she's stressed about money. I offered to help her make a budget, showed her my spreadsheet system, explained how I track every expense and plan for big purchases. She looked at my Excel sheet like I'd just shown her advanced calculus. That's a lot. I don't really do numbers like that. It's literally just writing down what you spend and making sure you don't spend more than you make. Yeah, but that's so restricting. Life's about experiences, not counting pennies. I should have run right there. Instead, she asked if she could add her cards to my online banking just to see how you organize things, and maybe I could help make sure they get paid on time. Said it was temporary, just until her big commissions came through in December. like an absolute genius. I said yes, added her Chase card and her Amex to my bank's bill pay system, set them up to auto-pay the minimum payments each month so she wouldn't tank her credit score. Figured I'd help her out for a month or two until she got back on track. November was when I started noticing the charges. She'd always been into nice things, but this was different. Nordstrom charges every few days. $180 here, $240 there. Sephora hauls that ran $300 plus for makeup and skincare products with names I couldn't pronounce. Dinner reservations at places I'd never heard of. Always splitting the bill with her friends, but racking up $90 to $120 per person tabs. A weekend spa trip with her friends that she'd never mentioned to me beforehand just suddenly disappeared for 2 days and came back glowing and relaxed. Every time I'd log into my banking to check my own finances, I'd see her card's balances climbing. $3,000 became $4,500, then $6,000. The minimum payments kept going up. $180 for the Amex, $120 for the Chase card. I was hemorrhaging $300 a month just to keep her from tanking her credit score, and she was treating it like free money. The purchases were getting more ridiculous too. $85 for a candle because it was artisanal and hand-poured. $60 for a water bottle. Not even a fancy insulated one. Just a glass bottle with some brand name on it. $45 for a yoga mat when she didn't even do yoga. She just thought it would motivate her to start. Another $200 at Lululemon for athletic wear that I never saw her work out in even once. She'd rationalize every purchase. The candle was for aromatherapy and mental health. The water bottle was an investment in staying hydrated. The yoga mat was about self-improvement. The Lululemon haul was because quality athletic wear would make her actually want to exercise, even though the tags stayed on and the clothes ended up folded in her closet still in the shopping bag. When I brought it up, she'd brush it off. It's work clothes. I need to look professional. Self-care is important. You don't understand the pressure of my job. Everyone in sales spends money on their appearance. Always had an excuse ready. Always had a justification that made me feel like I was being unreasonable for questioning $6,000 in credit card debt for a woman with a decent salary. One particular incident drove me nuts. She came over one Tuesday evening excited about this amazing deal she got. Bought 3 pairs of jeans from some boutique. Regular price would have been $480 total, but they were on sale for $340. She genuinely thought she'd saved $140 and wanted me to celebrate with her. I tried to explain that spending $340 was spending $340, not saving $140. That sales are designed to make you spend money you wouldn't otherwise spend on things you don't actually need. That she already owned probably 15 pairs of jeans. She got defensive, said I was being negative, that I didn't understand fashion, that these were investment pieces that would last years. 3 months later, I noticed all 3 pairs still had the tags on them, sitting in her closet untouched. She'd forgotten she even bought them. The spa weekend particularly bugged me. She never mentioned going until after she was already there, posting Instagram stories from some luxury resort 2 hours away. Massages, facials, poolside drinks, the works. Meanwhile, I'm seeing charges hit her Amex that I'm covering. $180 for the room, $120 for spa services, $90 for meals. I texted her asking about it and got back, just needed a mental health weekend with the girls. We work so hard, we deserve it. The minimum payment on her Amex alone was now $180 a month. The Chase card was $120. I was paying $300 monthly just to keep her credit cards from defaulting, while she was out living her best life and posting about self-care and treating yourself. Then came Thanksgiving week. Her company was doing this big holiday party at some country club. Black tie event, fancy dinner, open bar, the whole thing. She needed a new dress because obviously she couldn't wear anything she already owned. We went to this boutique she'd been stalking on Instagram. The dress she wanted was $680. Not a typo. $680 for a dress she'd wear once. Babe, this is the dress. I have to have it. Everyone's going to be dressed up and I need to look amazing. Olivia, that's like a mortgage payment for some people. But you don't have a mortgage, she shot back. You paid off your condo, so you can afford to treat your girlfriend. That logic was airtight, apparently. I didn't buy the dress. First time I'd actually said no to something that expensive. She was mad for like 3 days, barely texted me back, posted passive-aggressive quotes on Instagram about knowing your worth and not settling for less. Then her mom called me, Patricia, who I'd always gotten along with, phoning me at work. Said she heard about the dress situation and wanted to make sure everything was okay with you two. Then launched into this whole speech about how Olivia was used to a certain lifestyle, how her father had always provided well for the family, how important it was that her daughter felt valued and cherished. Translation: buy the dress or you're not good enough for her daughter. I was speechless. This woman was calling me at my job to pressure me into spending $680 on a dress, explained that I was already covering her credit card bills to the tune of $300 a month, had bought her probably $2,000 worth of stuff in the past few months, and was just trying to be financially responsible. Well, if you're struggling financially, maybe you need to evaluate whether you're ready for a serious relationship. Olivia deserves someone who can match her lifestyle. And there it was. I told Patricia I had to get back to work and hung up. Sat in my office just staring at the wall, processing what just happened. My girlfriend's mother had essentially called me broke and told me to step up or step aside. That night, Olivia came over acting all sweet, made it seem like she just wanted to talk. No pressure about the dress. We sat on my couch and she took my hands. Look, I know money is tight for you right now. It's not tight. I'm just not dropping $680 on a dress. Okay, but I need you to understand something. I have a certain standard I'm used to. My dad always made sure my mom had nice things. That's what love looks like to me. And if you can't afford my lifestyle, maybe you need to step aside for someone who can. She said it so casually, like she was commenting on the weather, not with anger or malice, just matter of fact. This is what I need, and if you can't provide it, I'll find someone who will. I just looked at her for a long moment. Really looked at her. The designer purse I'd bought her sitting on my coffee table. The expensive shoes she was wearing that I'd paid for. The jewelry she'd picked out and I'd purchased for her birthday. Everything about her screamed high maintenance, and I'd been too busy trying to be the good boyfriend to see it. Something clicked in my brain. That switch flipped from trying to make this work to realizing this woman saw me as an ATM with feelings, not a partner. You're absolutely right, I said. She blinked. What? You're right. If I can't afford your lifestyle, I should step aside. So let's do that. Wait, what are you saying? I'm saying we're done. You can find someone who wants to bankroll your shopping addiction and your Instagram aesthetic. That's not me. You could see the panic cross her face, the realization that she'd miscalculated, that this wasn't supposed to be how this conversation went. She was supposed to guilt me into buying the dress, into stepping up, into being the man she thought I should be. Babe, no, I didn't mean... You literally just told me to step aside if I can't afford you. So I'm stepping aside. We're done. I was just stressed about the party. I didn't mean it like that. How else could you have possibly meant it? You gave me an ultimatum. Fund your lifestyle or get out of the way. I'm choosing option 2. She started crying then. Real tears. Not the strategic tears she'd used to get me to buy her things. We can work this out. We can talk about this. I was just being emotional. Emotional about what? About me not wanting to spend $680 on a dress you'll wear once? About me actually having boundaries with money? About me refusing to keep enabling you to live beyond your means? It's not like that. It's exactly like that. You've been using me as a bank account for months. The purse, the shoes, the tires, the credit cards, all of it. I was so busy trying to be a good boyfriend that I didn't see I was just being used. That's not fair. I care about you. You care about what I can buy you. There's a difference. And she tried to backtrack more, said she loved me, that we could compromise, that she'd be better with money. All the things people say when they realize the free ride is ending. I wasn't buying any of it. Olivia, leave. We're done. This conversation is over. Can we at least talk about this tomorrow when we've both calmed down? There's nothing to talk about. You made it clear what you value. And it's not me. It's what I can provide financially. That's not a relationship I want to be in. She stood there for another minute, crying, trying different angles. Maybe we could go to counseling. Maybe she could change. Maybe I was overreacting. Every sentence started with maybe, because she knew she'd screwed up but couldn't quite admit it. Finally, she left, still crying, still trying to convince me this was fixable. I closed the door behind her and just stood there for a minute, processing what just happened. Then I grabbed my laptop and got to work. The next morning, I logged into my bank account and removed both her credit cards from my bill pay, called both credit card companies, and had them remove my banking information from her accounts. Took maybe 10 minutes total. Then I blocked her number and all her social media. Clean break, no room for negotiation or manipulation. Changed my door code because she had the old one. Updated my Netflix and Hulu passwords because she'd been using my accounts. Went full scorched earth. The credit card thing was the key move. See? I'd been covering her minimum payments automatically. She never had to think about it. Never got late notices. Never had to face the consequences of spending $6,000 she didn't have. Now those cards were back in her hands, with balances she couldn't pay and auto pay turned off. That Friday was her company holiday party. Found this out later from a mutual friend who still followed her on Instagram. Apparently, she'd ended up buying the dress anyway, put it on one of her credit cards that I was no longer paying, showed up to this fancy country club event looking like $1,000,000, posting photos, living her best life. She'd brought a date, some sales director from a different pharmaceutical company she'd met at a conference. Older guy, drove a Lexus, wore expensive suits. Exactly the kind of guy who could afford her lifestyle. They had dinner at the country club, then apparently decided to extend the evening by going to this Michelin star restaurant downtown, the Monarch Room, one of those places where the tasting menu starts at $185 per person, and they describe every dish like it's a work of art. She offered to treat since this guy had paid for their country club dinner, trying to impress him, show she was sophisticated and successful, not some gold digger looking for a meal ticket. Ordered the full tasting menu for both of them. Added the wine pairing. Appetizers, multiple courses, dessert. The works. Bill came to just over $500 before tip. She handed the server her Amex with total confidence. Card declined. Tried the Chase card. Also declined. Both cards were maxed out, and she'd missed the minimum payments since I stopped covering them a week ago. Credit card companies had frozen her accounts. According to my mutual friend who heard this from someone who was there, Olivia went completely pale, started stammering about how there must be some mistake, maybe fraud. She'd have to call her bank. Her date ended up paying, but he was clearly not happy about it. Paid the bill and basically left immediately. No nightcap, no second date energy. She called me 17 times that night. I know because even though I'd blocked her, the calls still showed up in my blocked calls list. Left me voicemails crying and screaming about how I'd humiliated her. How could I do this to her? How I'd ruined her relationship with this new guy. Then came the text from friends' phones I hadn't blocked yet. You're an asshole for abandoning me financially. I'm in debt because of you. Everyone knows what you did and thinks you're trash. My parents are so disappointed in you. I didn't respond to any of it. Just kept blocking numbers as they popped up. Her mom, Patricia, tried calling from her dad's phone a few days later. I actually answered that one because I respected Robert. You need to do the right thing and help Olivia with these credit card bills. She's struggling because you pulled the rug out from under her. Patricia, I was never obligated to pay her credit cards in the first place. That was me being generous, and she took advantage of it. She thought you were a partnership. That's what couples do. Partnerships are equal. I was funding her lifestyle while she spent money she didn't have. That's not a partnership. That's financial abuse going the other direction. Her credit score dropped 80 points because she maxed out 2 credit cards and missed payments. That's not my fault or my problem. She's 29 years old. She can handle her own finances. Patricia went quiet for a second, then hit me with, Robert is very disappointed in you. Put him on the phone then. She wouldn't. Because Robert probably didn't even know she was calling? Guy was too practical to think I should be paying his adult daughter's credit card bills. I hung up and blocked that number too. The Instagram fallout was apparently epic. Olivia had posted some vague story about fake people who pretend to care about you, then abandon you when you need them most, with a sad selfie. Her friends rallied around her in the comments, talking about how she deserved better and clearly dodged a bullet. But then some mutual acquaintances who knew the real story started pushing back. Someone commented asking if this was about expecting her boyfriend to pay her bills. Another person pointed out that financial responsibility isn't the same as being cheap. The post got messy enough that she deleted it. She tried one final approach in mid-December. Showed up at my condo unannounced, looking upset but not crying. More composed. Said she'd been thinking about everything and realized she'd been unfair. That she wanted to work things out. That she valued our relationship more than money or lifestyle. I didn't let her in. We talked through the doorway. Did you pay off your credit cards? I asked. I'm working on a payment plan. So no. It's not that simple. I had to ask my parents for help. Good. They raised you to think money grows on trees. They can deal with the consequences. That's not fair. I just had different expectations for how a relationship should work. Right. You expected me to fund your lifestyle while you pretended to be more successful than you actually are. I expected a partner, not a dependent. She tried the tears then, saying I was being cruel, that she'd learned her lesson, that people make mistakes. I told her the mistake was mine for not seeing this coming sooner, and closed the door. She finally stopped trying after that. The aftermath was interesting. Found out through the same mutual friend that Olivia had to move back in with her parents because she couldn't afford her luxury apartment rent anymore. The $2,200 monthly rent that looked great on Instagram, but ate up most of her paycheck after car payments and credit card minimums. She'd been late on rent twice before I cut her off, and after I stopped covering her credit cards, the whole house of cards collapsed. The BMW got returned to the dealership when her lease ended in February, and she couldn't afford a new one or even to buy out the old one. She's driving her mom's old Honda Accord now, a 2014 model with cloth seats and manual windows. Still runs fine, totally reliable car, but definitely not the look she was going for. Last I saw on someone's Instagram story, she'd parked it around the corner from wherever she was going, so it wouldn't be in photos. Can't have people knowing you drive a decade-old Honda when you're trying to maintain that luxury lifestyle aesthetic. The pharmaceutical sales job apparently had a terrible quarter, and she got let go in January during downsizing. Something about not hitting her targets, probably because she was too focused on maintaining appearances instead of actually working. When you're spending your workday thinking about what outfit to post on Instagram instead of closing sales, your numbers tend to suffer. Her sales manager probably noticed she was more interested in looking successful than being successful. I heard through the grapevine that her commissions had been falling for months before she got fired. She'd been coasting on a few big accounts she'd landed back when she was actually hustling, but wasn't bringing in new business. Too busy brunching and shopping and maintaining her social media presence to do the actual cold calls and client meetings that pharmaceutical sales requires. Last I heard, she's working retail at Nordstrom, the same store where she used to drop hundreds on my credit card. The irony is not lost on me. Now she's on the other side of the counter, helping other women who have more money than sense buy overpriced clothes they don't need. Probably makes about $15 an hour plus commission, which means she's earning in a month what she used to spend in a week. The employee discount probably helps, though I'd bet money she's still charging more clothes than she can afford. Some people never learn. They just adjust their shopping to whatever their new budget allows and find new ways to go into debt. Her mom, Patricia, apparently had a falling out with her own sister over the whole situation. The sister, Olivia's aunt Rebecca, told Patricia straight up that spoiling Olivia and teaching her that men should bankroll her lifestyle had created this mess. That raising a daughter to value appearance over substance, credit over cash, and looking rich over being financially stable was bad parenting with predictable consequences. Patricia didn't take that well. From what I heard, Thanksgiving dinner last year was super awkward with half the family taking Rebecca's side and the other half defending Patricia's parenting choices. They're apparently still not talking, which is wild. A whole family rift, because Patricia couldn't accept that maybe her sister had a point. Robert, Olivia's dad, reportedly stayed out of it. Guy's too practical to defend the indefensible. He knows his daughter messed up, knows his wife enabled it, knows I wasn't wrong for walking away. But he's not about to get in the middle of his wife fighting with her sister, so he just keeps his head down and focuses on his construction business. Part of me feels bad for Robert. Dude worked hard his whole life, built a successful company, provided well for his family, and this is what his daughter learned from all of it. That money just appears and will always be there to bail you out of bad decisions. As for me, I took the $300 a month I was wasting on her credit card minimums and increased my 401k contribution. The money I was spending on her lifestyle went into my investment accounts, added to my emergency fund, put aside cash for a motorcycle I've been wanting. The motorcycle fund hit $8,000 by March, bought a used Indian Scout from a guy 2 towns over who barely rode it, paid cash, got him down $1,500 from asking price. Thing's beautiful and it's mine. No payments, no debt. Been on a few dates since then, but nothing serious. Went out with a woman from my gym in January, physical therapist, drives a paid-off Toyota, actually laughed when I mentioned tracking expenses in a spreadsheet. We went to a decent restaurant. She insisted on splitting the bill. Didn't post a single photo on social media. Saw her a few more times, but the chemistry wasn't quite there. We're still friendly, though. Met someone else in February through a buddy from work. Accountant, owns her own small firm, drives a sensible sedan, lives in a modest house she's paying down aggressively. First date, she suggested coffee. Second date was a hike. Third date, she cooked dinner at her place. Split everything evenly. Never expected me to fund her lifestyle. Actually got excited when I showed her my investment portfolio strategy. We'll see where it goes. But it's refreshing dating someone who sees money as a tool for building a future instead of something to light on fire for Instagram content. Got a promotion at work in April. Senior project manager position with a 15% raise. Celebrated by taking myself to a nice steakhouse, ordering exactly what I wanted, and not worrying about someone else's credit card bill showing up in my bank account. The Indian Scout has been perfect for weekend rides. Joined a local riding group, met some solid guys who were into bikes, and actually maintaining them instead of just posting photos. Been working on restoring a 1972 Triumph Bonneville in my garage that I picked up for $2,500. Engine needs a full rebuild, but that's half the fun. My condo's value has gone up about 20% since I bought it. Could sell tomorrow and walk away with a decent profit, but why would I? Place is paid off, cost me basically nothing except property taxes and utilities, and the market's only going up. That's pretty much it. No drama, no debt, no one demanding I prove my love through my bank account. Just living my life, building my wealth, and finding someone who actually values the same things I do. Olivia can keep chasing that Instagram lifestyle with someone else's money. I'm good over here. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.